Everyone is behind Caleb Williams. He's too talented to not succeed. It's just the question of whether this coaching staff will do enough to develop the rookie quarterback.
Part of this is on Caleb Williams, part of it is on Waldron, part of it is on other players. There's a lot to it, but at some point you have to be able to get rid of the football and not make something that's bad even worse.
I know we just recently made a video on Caleb Williams, but this is a scenario that is consistently going from bad to worse, and it's one of the most polarizing topics in the entire NFL because there's multiple blame fingers going around. So before we get to the content, we have been busting our butts over here on the grind to 1 million subscribers. Make sure you subscribe and turn on our notifications if you want to help us get there. Now that we get all that out of the way, we've been making so much money with the PrizePicks Live Square update, and now they're hooking us up even more. All Mike Tyson needs to do is land one punch in order for his square to hit. I'm going to pair this with Russell Wilson getting more than 1.5 pass TDs against the worst pass defense in the NFL to turn $25 into $88. If you haven't signed up for PrizePicks, use my promo code Mikerophone to get $50 when you make an entry of $5 or more, and I give out my picks for free on my Instagram at @TheFlightMike and on Snapchat FlightMike Snap. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The entire storyline surrounding Caleb Williams has been captivating to follow up until this point. I mean, from the very beginning, all the way back to September of 2023, this is a player that knew he was going to get selected #1 overall. And he wasn't necessarily the most humble when it came to it. I mean, his dad warned teams that not just any team could draft his son. His dad also mentioned that he would like to seek an equity stake in whatever team selected him, which, don't get me wrong, the equity stake part is very ambitious, but it also gave off a specific impression of Caleb Williams, one of extreme cockiness. And the fact that he was being consistently compared to Patrick Mahomes wasn't really helping things. Caleb Williams was dubbed the next generational prospect, the best quarterback to come out of the NFL draft since Trevor Lawrence, and I guess before that, Andrew Luck. A player that could do everything that is asked of a modern NFL QB. A quarterback that had the ability to extend plays and make any throw that you'd want, an excellent release, but there were some issues in regards to his maturity. Fans didn't like the fact that Caleb Williams cried after a loss to Washington, and fans didn't like the fact that he can make drama appear out of thin air. I mean, when he decided not to work out at the combine and even decline medical exams, he decided to also criticize those that critiqued him on his overly emotional responses.
Yeah, there's not many people in the world that get to experience what I experience every game day, every practice day. It always kind of goes back to that for me. Something that I only get to experience. It's something that I really care about, which is not only winning the game, but every time we lose, I feel like I let my teammates down. Like I said, don't play for fame, I don't play for money. So go out there and win as many games as possible, be the best that I can, and play as many games as possible at my best. I think I can reach certain points like that.
As Mike Florio and Chris Sims are practically on their knees with their mouth open for Caleb Williams, he decides to explain to them why he is declining medical exams.
And obviously, when you start doing things that's not traditional, whether you're at a school like USC.
And I support you 100%.
Yeah,
Trust me.
Whether you're here at the combine that's been going on for, I don't know how many years, but a long time.
Right.
And so I'd say the main thing has just been, it was a decision with my family and my team. And it really came down to not all 32 teams can draft me. So I give all 32 teams.
Yeah.
My personal medical things, there's nothing there. Played all 30, how many ever games I played.
I don't even remember you being banged up like the slightest.
I've never came off the field unless my helmet came off and the ref took me off.
Right.
And so, my thing has just been, give it to the teams that are going to pursue me. So on my visits, I'll be doing medicals, but just decided not to do it here. In a sense, I have an idea of where I'm going to go, not the place, but the
general area of the draft.
We know the spot.
You're going in the top 2 picks. You're going #1, bro. Just to let you know. You're going 1.
And look, man, it's not like I think Caleb Williams is a bad person. It's just whenever you're evaluating a quarterback, it's kind of like trying to get into a relationship. And you want your partner to make things as easy for you as humanly possible. Whether you're a female or a male, seeking a female or a male, I don't really care. You just want someone that makes your life easier. And whenever you have a quarterback that's kind of nitpicking at each and everything, painting, it doesn't necessarily give the greatest vibe. Now, this is just scratching the very tip of the surface in regards to Caleb. Fans didn't like the fact that he painted his nails. And honestly, my personal critique on him was I just thought it was bizarre that he pretended not to know who Keenan Allen was when he was going to be selected #1 overall. And that's honestly the only critique I really had on him. But this goes so much further than just Caleb Williams as a person. It's also a commentary on how much was truly on the line for the Chicago Bears during the 2024 NFL Draft. You see, Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears front office were on a high after swindling the Carolina Panthers in the Bryce Young trade. And how could you not think that you're the greatest general manager in the NFL after you were able to take the #1 overall pick and trade it for DJ Moore, the 9th overall pick, the 61st overall pick in 2023, the #1 overall pick in 2024, and a 2nd round pick in 2025. So now Ryan Poles had one of the greatest dilemmas that you could possibly have. Do you take the generational quarterback at #1 overall, or do you continue to try to develop Justin Fields, who really never had a good opportunity to develop? And if you really look back at his time with the Chicago Bears, I mean, Justin Fields never had good coaching. It's kind of crazy. In year 1, he had Matt Nagy as his head coach, but we know how the Chicago Bears cycle goes. The Bears draft a quarterback in the top 10. The quarterback's first year is tough. They then fire their head coach. Then he needs to adjust to a new system in coaching. The quarterback doesn't perform and is blamed for everything. And in the case of Justin Fields, it was very clear that that was happening. Matt Nagy was fired. Matt Eberflus was brought in. So now Justin Fields was expected to make it work with Luke Getsy. And it was very up and down with Luke Getsy. Don't get me wrong, I would say Luke Getsy was better than Shane Waldron, and we'll get to that in just a sec. But at the end of the day, Luke Getsy doesn't have a job currently, and there's a good reason for that. The dilemma is way deeper than that, though. I mean, if you continue forward with Justin Fields, you have the opportunity to trade the #1 overall pick in this year's NFL draft for a seismic haul. I mean, you could get 3 additional first-round picks and really build this team up into a juggernaut. Or you could cash it in and bet it all on the fact that Caleb Williams will come in and immediately make the Bears a Super Bowl contender. I've said it in the past, and I'll say it now. You can't really go wrong with the decisions you had to make for the Chicago Bears. On top of this, the Bears are set to have the 5th highest cap space in the entire NFL in the 2025 season. So things were really looking up for the Chicago Bears, and if they needed to potentially franchise tag Justin Fields after a remarkable performance, then so be it. Now again, you have to remember, this was a very polarizing topic. I mean, DJ Moore said himself that he didn't think there was anyone better in that NFL draft than Justin Fields.
What makes him not the quarterback for the Chicago Bears right now? I get y'all got everybody coming out. What, it's like 2 of them? I don't think they better than Justin, so they cool.
But once Justin Fields was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, the decision was made. Caleb Williams was drafted in quite possibly the greatest situation that a quarterback has ever been drafted to as the #1 overall pick in NFL history. And that's not an opinion, that's fact. There's never been a quarterback that has come into a situation with 2 wide receiver ones, a solid halfback and tight end, and another wide receiver drafted in the top 10 of the NFL draft with an up-and-coming defense. There's a reason why a lot of fans pick the Bears to potentially win the NFC North. And whenever you're a player that is considered to be the most NFL ready, once in a generational type prospect since Trevor Lawrence or Andrew Luck, obviously that's going to come with a lot of expectations. Ultimately, Caleb Williams has not fulfilled those expectations so far, and this is where the commentary might get a little divisive, and it really depends on who you want to ask here. There are multiple failures by the Chicago Bears front office that probably think they're God's gift to the earth because of how they swindled the Carolina Panthers. The first being their coaching staff. I'm not necessarily going to point the blame finger at Matt Eberflus for the offensive woes of the Chicago Bears, because that's not what Matt Eberflus was brought in for. Eberflus was brought in to coach one of the best defenses in the NFL, and so far, I guess you could say he's doing an okay job. I mean, the Bears are the 13th ranked defense in the NFL right now. They've only allowed 15 touchdowns so far in the NFL, which is tied for the second fewest with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So on one hand, you could say Eberflus is doing his job, but the offense is all falling on the shoulders of one man who I'm kind of surprised got the job, and that's Shane Waldron. Going into this season, Jackson Smith-Njigba kind of warned us about Shane Waldron, who was the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks last year.
Bears fans are super interested about the offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. What can you tell them about who they just hired, try to get this offense where it needs to go?
This is live. Good luck to y'all. I mean, he's a great person, great offensive coordinator. I was very lucky to have him.
And I've showed you guys in the last video, I mean, if you take a look at JSN's route tree with Waldron versus without Waldron, and then you compare it to DJ Moore when he had Luke Getsy as his offensive coordinator to how it was when he had Waldron, it's a completely different ball game, guys. I mean, it's absolutely insane. So last week when the Chicago Bears faced off against the Arizona Cardinals, mind you, the Chicago Bears had a winning record versus the Arizona Cardinals, but there are some things that we are really worried about. One being that DJ Moore walked off in the middle of a play, which some of us were kind of saying wasn't that big of a deal, primarily because Hunter Henry did the same exact thing last week when Drake May threw the game-tying touchdown. But Hunter Henry was doing something where he also pointed towards a wide open receiver, so I don't know if this is the same thing. In the same game, DJ Moore did shoulder check Caleb Williams, and I don't know, I don't want to sound like a diva, I don't think this is a coincidence. Now, DJ Moore would explain why he left the field in the middle of the play.
Tweaked ankle. I was coming back because I seen Caleb scrambling. Ankle went in and out. I was already couldn't stop, so my momentum took me out of bounds, and then I just walked off. Which, the noise, I heard, seen it, really didn't care. So it is what it is.
But when DJ Moore was asked about Matt Eberflus's job security, he didn't really back him up.
Has Matt Eberflus lost his football team?
I want to say no. The message yesterday was that we know we 4-4 now. It's just like being 0-0. But you just got to go out there and start stacking wins how we did. And that's the best thing we can do is win.
Now, there are two reasons why you could say Caleb Williams is performing horribly this year. And I'm not saying not good, I'm saying horribly. He's only completed 61% of his passes, threw for 9 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He has one of the best wide receiver cores in the NFL. There's no question about it. It's easily a top 5 wide receiver core. You can make a legitimate argument that it's a top 3 wide receiver core, but there are two main issues that are outside of Caleb Williams' control. One being his offensive line is horrible. I mean, so far, Caleb Williams has been sacked 38 times this year, and he's on track to be sacked 72 times this season, which would be the second most in NFL history. The main culprit for the lack of success for Caleb Williams has been Shane Waldron. There's been plays that Shane Waldron has drawn up that just makes no sense at all whatsoever. Like, the play design here is absolute insanity, where Caleb Williams, who is a right-handed quarterback, is rolling out to his left, and I don't even know who he's supposed to throw the football to here. I mean, typically you're supposed to roll out to your right and then hit your tight end in the flat, and in this particular instance, you'll get an automatic 5 yards, and in this case, it would have worked. Cole Kmet would have been wide open, but for some reason, Shane Waldron says roll to the opposite side of Cole Kmet. Now, there's a huge question. Is this Caleb Williams' fault?
I'll say this. I don't think Caleb's the consensus #1 guy in the league.
But at the same time, you're seeing plays like this where Caleb has a clean pocket and he has an opportunity to make a play, but he's just missing his wide receivers, and this has happened multiple times against the New England Patriots of all teams. I mean, Caleb was just wildly inaccurate here. And don't get me wrong, the play calls weren't 100% perfect, but man, there are some plays that he should be able to make here, and he wasn't able to make any of them. He was just wildly inaccurate. He's getting happy feet in the pocket. Now, whether this is because he feels like he's gonna have to scramble because he's worried about getting sacked, or a lack of confidence, or Shane Waldron voodoo is up to you. And it just gets so bad. I mean, the body language with Caleb Williams and his teammates just looks terrible. And this is what I mean when I said I didn't want to be a diva with the DJ Moore shoulder check. But then you also have moments like this where Caleb Williams gets knocked to the ground and he's waiting to be picked up, and the only person that's willing to pick him up is literally the person that is putting him on his and then he gets patted on the head. Like, what the hell is going on here? Fans were booing the Bears because they were losing to the Patriots.
5-yard penalty, 4th down.
And the statistics don't help him either. I mean, since their week 7 bye, the Bears offense ranks last in yards per drive, offensive TDs per game, expected points added per dropback, completion percentage, sacks allowed per game, percentage of drives ending in a TD, percentage of drives ending in a punt. You remember when Caleb Williams told his punter you're not going to be punting very much? Well, they're punting the most in the NFL currently. So when you're in a situation like this and you're the Chicago Bears and you have a huge decision to make, you need to choose between your offensive coordinator and the player that fans were calling the next coming of Patrick Mahomes. Who are you going to choose in this case? Well, the Bears made their decision. So just the other day, the Chicago Bears announced that they were firing Shane Waldron and they were elevating Thomas Brown. This is hysterical when you consider the fact that Thomas Brown was the offensive coordinator of the 2023 Carolina Panthers that went 2-15 in that season where Bryce Young was struggling, and it resulted in the Bears getting the #1 overall pick to select Caleb Williams. But if you just take a look at how the players feel about this situation, it gives you an idea that this might be a step in the right direction.
I want to say probably like when we want to call, or it's probably like a drive too late, or like we wanted to make adjustments and we just wait till halftime to make it, and then we don't get the same look. So I can see what he mean by that right there.
It gets kind of crazy. I mean, there was a few Bears veterans that wanted to bench Caleb Williams before Waldron was fired. According to Mark Silverman of ESPN Radio, after talking to a few people with knowledge of the situation, players went to Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles asking them to make a change at offensive coordinator. There have also been a few veteran players requesting that backup Tyson Bagent starts. Several Bears beat writers have since corroborated this report. If true, it would be an extremely bad look for Chicago, who dealt Justin Fields and spent a #1 overall pick on Williams this past year. Now, this is what Caleb Williams had to say about this report.
No, I think those guys are, good, easy. We talk about it. I think I got full support from them. I've gotten texts or calls or people coming up to me, with this situation that just happened, coming up to me and saying, we got your back, with you, things like that. And let's go. That kind of mindset and attitude has been what it's been this past couple of days, and that's kind of what it's only been.
And a part of me wonders whether or not this report is really true.
Caleb Williams is very smart, and he's doing a lot of things at the line that other rookie quarterbacks don't do and can't do. And I feel like they gave him all that liberty to do it, and it was just too much.
Now, Thomas Brown had this to say about the situation.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. I'm not going to go into detail about what we talked about individually. But again, it was all a positive conversation. He was receptive to it. Talked about what he can fix and be better for our offense. Clearly, obviously, quarterback spot is the most difficult position. So we got to be better all around him. But also starts with how we coach him. Being more detailed, being more demanding with just him, but also the entire staff.
Now, how do I feel about this? Well, I'm kind of conflicted. If you just go based off of track record here, you're going to think that Thomas Brown wouldn't be able to do anything. But then again, Thomas Brown really wasn't placed in a good situation to succeed with the Carolina Panthers. I mean, the 2023 Panthers had no offensive line, no run game. The only weapon they had was Adam Thielen, and then they had a undersized first-year quarterback that they had to develop on top of all of this. I mean, it was just a recipe for disaster, and even Dave Canales is currently struggling with the Carolina Panthers. So I don't think it's fair to automatically judge Thomas Brown for that situation, and I think anything but Waldron could be an upgrade. And I know what fans are saying in terms of we're being too impatient with players, but you also have to understand that Caleb Williams isn't Anthony Richardson. Caleb Williams isn't Josh Allen. Caleb Williams wasn't supposed to struggle with this. If you look at Caleb Williams' scouting report on NFL.com, just read the profile on him. Williams' play is highlighted by rare escapability paired with the talent to exploit defenses once the play breaks down. He's not tall, but he's well built, with an arm to challenge defenses across the field. He can be a high-impact playmaker on the go, or an effective pocket passer when he allows himself to trust his eyes on second and third reads. He can improve his accuracy and placement on intermediate and deep throws, but he is unlikely to be known for pinpoint accuracy. It is admirable that he looks to keep his eyes rise up and make throws outside the pocket, but he'll make things easier on himself early in his pro career by becoming a more decisive scrambler to move the sticks and to carry on to the next set of downs. Williams is tremendously talented, but often bites off too much responsibility and plays off schedule. He has a good chance to hit new heights with a surrounding cast that he trusts, but greater self-discipline and a well-structured offense might be needed to help him become a quarterback who can elevate a franchise to championship contention. I mean, NFL.com was spot on here. It's kind of crazy. But if you take a look at his weaknesses, some of them came up once again. For example, passes up easy scramble yardage for more challenging throws, will throw on the move unnecessarily rather than platform up, disconcerting deep ball accuracy, and QB-friendly offense. Hero ball mentality creates indecisiveness and inconsistent decision-making. Must learn to throw with better anticipation/timing on the NFL level. And it seems like all these things came true. He was ranked a 6.74, which means he's a year one starter. I think the biggest issue for Caleb Williams is he needs to be placed in a situation and a system where his talents could thrive, which is very disappointing for the once-in-a-generation type prospect that he was supposed to be. It's kind of interesting because if you compare Caleb Williams to Jaden Daniels, they were literally placed in inverse situations. Jaden Daniels has a solid offensive cast, but his top wide receiver was Terry McLaurin. His offensive line is average, and he doesn't necessarily have the greatest run game, but his running attack is also above average. But he has superb coaching. I mean, Dan Quinn as your head coach, Cliff Kingsbury as your offensive coordinator has made all the difference for Jaden Daniels. Meanwhile, Caleb Williams had the opposite. Caleb Williams had every weapon you would want offensively except offensive line, but his coaching is a little suspect. Now, do I think Caleb Williams is destined to fail? I don't necessarily want to say that, but I could see him having a similar trajectory to his career as Trevor Lawrence. But the crazy part is, I feel like Trevor Lawrence would have succeeded with these weapons around him in year one, because once again, Caleb Williams was placed in one of the greatest positions that any number one overall pick has ever been placed in NFL history. And maybe Thomas Brown can change all of that. But at the end of the day, if he can't make these simple throws, it really doesn't matter. Let me know in the comment section down below, do you think the Chicago Bears made a horrific mistake? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.